What is up? Welcome to the tennis rundown, brought to you by Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. Today, we're going to take a little different approach. It's not just going to be betting with me hosting. We're going to take more of a DFS approach here. But of course, I will be giving out some bets when it's appropriate here when we're talking about each match. Joined today by SuzySuz. Your cores, your playbook are quite popular among the Run Pure members. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. And you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited to do this, right? Because I do the NBA and the NFL, but this is, I think, the first time maybe since the U.S. Open that we've been on here talking some tennis. So excited to dive right in. And I think how we'll do the format here as well. We'll just talk about each range, right? We'll talk about the top range, the middle range, and the value range. And then from there, hopefully we'll take some questions. Hopefully people are building some lineups. And then, we can just go like they do with the Hardwood Live in the final countdown. We'll be giving you some 2v2s or some 1v1s in each range. So, Suzy, let's start at the top. The highest priced player today, Rafael Nadal, for good reason. He did very well in his last time out. We all thought he'd be playing Kokkinakis here, but instead he's playing Hanfmann. The range, let's say, goes all the way down to Kudermetova, who I think has a tough match against Rus. I think that's actually a tough matchup for her. Who are you targeting here in the top range?
If I were to get up to the top range, I would try and get Nadal or Barty. You can't. It's really hard to fit both of them. But if I were to pay up, the most it'd be them. But I just think they're too hard to get to. I really, really like Alcaraz. Mm-hmm. Thought he looked really good. And then Krejcikova and Keys are great plays on FanDuel. They already started, but FanDuel Keys was only $17. She was pretty cheap. But Krejcikova's in a great spot. She looks really good. She's in the lower range of the 9,000s. Her PCB's in a great spot, I think.
Greek score, Talon, Greek score.
Yeah, he's had a lot of tennis time, so I really like him just based on how much he's been on the court. Mm-hmm. I think PCB will have fresh legs, and he's obviously just so much better.
At the bottom here, there's two values that I would avoid, and that's Kudermetova and Sakkari. We're really high on Zhang, and I think that's going to be a tough matchup here. And I think that Ruse is a tough matchup for Kudermetova. Is there any more like avoids you see on this list?
I don't know about avoiding. You want to avoid Sakkari?
Yeah, I think Zhang's going to give her some problems.
Only thing is she can double fault quite a bit sometimes. I do think she goes in straights, but I think she wins. But I can see maybe going 3. Yeah, I'd rather pay extra $100 and get Krejcikova before I played her.
Right.
Same thing with PCB. I'd rather pay an extra $100 for him versus Kudermetova. Kudermetova, she can smash, but at the end of the year last year, Rus was playing really good tennis, and she came out strong so far on Monday. So I really like Rus as a value play there.
Yeah, I do too, and that's basically, if I like you as a value play, it's kind of like an avoid there. I think Zhang has some interesting as a value here. Someone we haven't talked about, and we actually haven't talked a lot, even when we're doing the playbooks. Shapovalov, interesting matchup here with Kwon. How do you rate his chances? And at 9,600, any interest there?
I can definitely see him going for just dropping. Kwon is a decent player. I can see him dropping one. I thought Shap, and I have to pull up, I saw Felix struggle yesterday. I think Shap struggled a little bit. At the end, they really carried Canada in the ATP Cup. Him and Felix were playing a ton of tennis instead of letting their teammates play. I know he took last week off, but my thing with Shap is he's not going to 6-1, 6-2 this guy. Kwon can play. Shap tends to double fault. So he's somebody that when I have a bunch of players to choose from, I tend to avoid. If he was in the 8,000s, it'd be a different story. But paying up there, he just double faults too much for me to pay up there. For GPP, you could take your chances. He could absolutely have one of those days where he just hits a bunch of aces and crushes. But Kwon's playing really good tennis right now. So I would fade Shap just based on what I have around his price range.
Couple other ones I was interested in. Osaka 10-6. Huey Hercox is 10-3. Hercox going against Manarino. He can always give people problems, but I can't see Manarino getting the victory today here. And also Osaka should just smash Pringle, right? I mean, that's
Absolutely.
just like a terrible matchup for her. So I'm sitting there. Let's say I got money for either one. Who do you think you'd rather have? Hubie? We know the men's sides tend to score a little higher, but boy, Osaka's really just got a great matchup.
I would take Osaka.
Okay.
Definitely take Osaka.
Okay.
Over Hubie. I do like Carlos there. Like I said, I think even Monfils right there is in some of his good form, but he could drop one to Bublik.
that was interesting when that opened. Monfils took money on the money line side, right? And it moved up. People were probably parlaying them. But on the spread, people were all betting Bublik because they thought he would keep it close. And it's usually weird. Usually everything goes in the same direction. So to see the spread go one way and the money line go the other, that was kind of funny. And I think it's kind of the epitome of trying to get a handle on Gael Monfils. Let's move into the mid-range here before we take some questions. Interesting mid-range today. I think there's a lot of great options, right? You know, if you don't want to end up. Korda, I think Pegula's got a great matchup with Bernarda Pera, right? Interesting one here, though. I think Korda and Pegula, right? I mean, you can definitely look at them. What about Opelka versus Kepfer, right? Pretty interested when we were going over there head-to-head. They're 3-3, right? But Kepfer's won the last three. Now, one of them was on clay. We can throw that out. One of them was on grass, and one of them was at the U.S. Open. How are you feeling about Opelka today? Because obviously he does have the chance to get a really high score.
So, pull it up right now. So the three wins Opelka has were from Challenger.
Right.
The three other ones were bigger ones. So yeah, I thought the clay. I even thought the grass because I thought Opelka had a really bad grass season this year.
Okay.
The U.S. Open was in 2019. So I feel like that was before I feel like he really started to take off 2020, then last year. So I feel like I'm not trying to put too much into that head-to-head just based on his losses. 2 losses were on surfaces that aren't good for him. Here, he should benefit from the hard court. 2019, it was 3 years ago? He was a lot younger. He was just coming on the scene. He was probably nervous being at home at the U.S. Open. I really like Opelka. I mean, the way DraftKings priced him, he's going to be mega chalk. And if he does what he did last one, he put up an 80-something. And just I know the aces are a little bit less, but he hits so many.
Yeah.
I mean, he had like 10 plus points in aces. And if you win in straight sets plus tie, I mean, he's going to be in the takedown line. I mean, he can easily, if he drops a set, he'll still hit the 70s. I mean, I've seen the men's go 4 and hit 70s quite a few times.
Okay.
But I think he wins. I think Opelka wins.
All right. I'm going to jump back in just to the high value because I missed this question from, I think it's Abruzzo. I think that's how he pronounces it. He wants to know about Keys' hot form. How do you rate her? I love Madison Keys in Grand Slams. It seems like even if she flubs all the warm-up tournaments, she always seems to have a good showing in Grand Slams.
I'll tell you. So I was worried about Keys last week because she made the finals and she won. And I've always been someone like, if you've been on the court so much, I'm fading you next match. Like Kokon is, was it yesterday that he lost?
Yeah.
Or on Monday? He just came off the final. But Keys, she's only played one tournament. And, I mean, she still looks good against Keenan, who's a quality opponent. I mean, Christian is not – Keenan would be Christian that she's playing. So, I would just ride Keys' hot form. If you're up there paying, I mean, she's a great play.
All right.
She's just crushing everybody.
Keys. Tani Paul goes against Kekmanovic. Vukic is in here against Albo. And then Karatsev. What did he have the other day? Like 100-something unforced errors, and he still gets the win. What are your thoughts on this little range right here? And then, of course, we'll get to the women there. But Paul, Vukic, Karatsev, all kind of priced in the same range. Who
it's
sticks
funny
out
that
to
you
you
say that.
locally?
I only ran a few lineups, and I try to keep a tight core.
Okay.
And I had the one spot open. I did one with Karatsev, one with Vukic, and one with Paul. And I threw Kudermetova in one. So I honestly just did I have one with each. I will tell you the first one I built was with Vukic. He was my first choice.
Mm-hmm.
I will say Karatsev is probably the safer one. I can see him going deeper in sets. One thing about Karatsev is he had that breakout last year at the Australian Open, so he likes these surfaces. He made it real deep. I mean, that was like his breakout party. Everybody would just start to play him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, McDonald is a very scrappy player. Like he likes to get into rallies and he can just hit with you. And if he's making errors like that, McDonald will take advantage.
All right, and that actually goes to the first bet I wanted to give out. And if you guys have questions on the bet side, of course, I'll be taking those as well. I like the over here, so I don't think Karatsev gets this in straight sets. Like you said, I think McDonald's scrappy. He's going to give him some problems, and this wasn't the best form we saw Karatsev in. Right, if he was in against a better player, we wouldn't be talking about him anymore. He'd be prepping right for his next tournament because that wasn't the best form. McDonald, scrappy player there. I think he's going to be able to hold serve. It's over 38.5 right now on bookmaker. So technically 3 tie breaks get you there in a 3-set win, but probably it'll take at least 4 sets to cash that over. Regardless, I still like the over there. So that's one that I was looking at here. Let's talk about 2 women here that I think have a potential to get upset. Belinda Bencic is playing Anisimova, and Ostapenko is playing Risk. Now, Ostapenko is my favorite player, but I'm also well aware of her faults and her double faults. So I think, Risk.
Every time I fade Ostapenko, though, she'll come out and she'll like bagel somebody. And I'll be like, and I'll play her like the day before and she'll go 3. And then I'm like, I'm not touching her. And that's 6-0, 6-1. And I'm like, what the fuck?
And let's be honest, if Penko's on, she's going to hit right through Risk. It's going to be quick. But is she going to be able to hold that form for 2 sets and not drop enough to make her a good play here? I'm not so sure. And I personally think Anisimova beats Bencic, so I wouldn't play her there at 8,300. Anisimova's been playing so well. Now, of course, it's a tough one, right? Because if there's anyone whose game is set up to beat Anisimova, right, it's Bencic who can go ahead and just use her power against it, redirect it. And Bencic, I think, is actually more comfortable when she can just swing comfortably and have it be a quick rally here. But boy, I think this is Anisimova's breakout year. You talked about Opelka, right? Another young American on the men's side. I think this might be Anisimova's year to really break out after she went through a couple turbulent seasons, right?
Yeah, she took a hit after her father passed. She just went downhill, but I feel like she's on the come up again. I mean, she hasn't lost this year. She did win the tournament, and then she took off last week. So she will be a little bit fresher. I didn't like what I saw from her first game, but I think it was just some first game jitters. The only thing, and I don't know if you saw it, I was reading the other day, they interviewed Bencic, and she was mentioning how to her winning the gold was, an accomplishment, and now she kind of a little bit can play looser and more relief that she's accomplished something. I mean, read it how you want, but she was just kind of saying that she was going to be a little looser as she was playing, so...
Yeah, I saw that. It was interesting. How do you take her, right? Because she said, I feel looser, but at the same time, she said, I also feel pressure like I should be winning these tournaments now, and I'm not this up and coming player, right? My time is here. I'm arrived.
After when she won the gold medal, I mean, she was on a run. I mean, she was in the best form of her life. When the season ended, she was still playing great. So obviously we didn't get to really see her too much these last 2 weeks, but she can easily beat Amanda. I mean, she's super cheap, Definitely. But Amanda's in the best form of her life. To not take if you're playing multiple lineups, you have to play Amanda in a few because she just looked great last week or 2 weeks ago.
Because the match is on Amanda's racket, right? If Amanda plays her best, it doesn't matter what Belinda does.
If Amanda
she doesn't, Belinda will take advantage of it.
If Amanda serves are going in, she should crush.
I should have put AVU in this list too, because she's another one that I was kind of avoiding. I think Keong Wang has a great chance for an upset here, right? After such a terrible season last year. She beats Coco Gauff in the first round. And now, obviously, these are way different styles here. AVU, this should be her best outdoor style, right? We know that she's absolutely the best in the indoors. And just a tip, when you see her in those 250s as the season goes on the indoors, it doesn't matter if the player's way better. There's usually value on AVU. Outside, not so sure. Wong, of course, is a little more used to the conditions down there. I like her here to get the upset, so I'm staying away from AVU. What are you thinking of that one?
Wang's my favorite value play on the slate. I mean, I mentioned to you 2 days ago, I said something about Coco Gauff's matchup I don't like. I mean, Kwang is a very good player, and sure enough,
I didn't believe it till I saw it.
She came out and she smacked her, and I was like, I swear I just told Spread about this, and I didn't even play her. And that's only because I ran one. I mean, that's a risky lineup if you played it. But she was a top 10 player. I mean, whenever we played a slam or any slate and she was like 8.7, 8.6, I always played her. And I mean, I would get a bagel out of her for some reason early on. I love playing her. And now to see her cheap against somebody that, I mean, to me, she's a way better player than her. So she should win here. I can see her being chalky. You can see it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can easily go very balanced today, so maybe not, but I do like her a ton.
And let's go. That's a good one. Let's go for that approach real quick for maybe some people that are new. They're here with me from the bet side or just tuning in because let's be honest, it's a pretty light NBA slate tonight. How do you approach that? Now I know on the NBA side, when I do the shows with them, they kind of like to avoid the chalk, right? And the idea is that if the chalk busts, you're just in prime position to ship. How do you approach the chalk? Are you worried about that? Like, let's say you had a pretty good idea which she would be chalky. Would you be more likely to avoid her, or is that something that doesn't bother you?
I don't mind when it comes to value. I don't mind fading her. I mean, because you have other options. You can go to Risk. You can go to Amanda. Those are your three safer. Maybe Zanevska. But besides that, you're getting more risky. And if you're MMEing, then okay, you could definitely take more risks. But I mean, if you're going for a safer and someone I feel more comfortable, I'll get the win. I mean, you're gonna want her. But you don't. But the thing is on this slate, you can avoid the value chalk because you can go very balanced. But I will tell you, the balance lineup, the players that are in the balance lineup are going to be very chalky. You have Korda, who was 6,000 2 days ago. Now he's not even priced that high. He's going to win that match. He's going to be chalk. I think he's hard to avoid. You saw he put up a monster score. He's just too cheap. I mean, I think Opelka will be chalk. You can take a chance and fade him as he has a bad head-to-head here, and he is a light pole, like Matt likes to call him. I mean, he's just a serve. You saw what you got that from Isner yesterday. But I will tell you, if you fade him and he wins in straights and hits those aces, you're not taking down. And that's the thing. I mean, you know what you're getting from the player.
Right.
So.
All right, interesting 7K range here today. Christian Guerin's in there. Parisas Diaz, who I think has a pretty good matchup against Zaneska. Actually, but to be fair, I didn't think Zaneska was going to win her first round match. And then, of course, you can run it back with Zaneska real cheap. And then Pedro Martinez, of course, at 72. So 7K is just two matches here. Any of these people catch your eye?
I'm sorry. Earlier, I didn't like Guerin. Starting to like him. And as I was writing my notes, I put in the playbook that he can be chalky. And I just started thinking all those times that I've played and Guerin, for some reason, he's always like 8K, 8.2. That is the cheapest I've ever seen him as a fave. And when he's like 8.2, 8.3, he's very chalky. I can see him being super chalky. He is somebody that you can fade, though. I mean, he could easily drop a set or two. Pedro Martinez, he can play.
Yeah, I think that's a real interesting matchup there. On the Diaz, I just favor her. I think that she's going to beat Zanevska. So I would rather pay the extra 400.
I do think she wins. I think it's a close match, but I do think she wins. I mean, you can easily go Parisas Diaz, Guerin, and then just be so balanced. I mean, you don't even got to go to a value because those two are so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. They did a terrible job at pricing.
All right. Yeah. And like, just for an example, right? Let's say, well, I think she's going to win. Well, she's minus 147. If I go to better at bookmaker right now, -2 on the games with the 21.5 total. I mean, a minus 147 for an extra $400. It just seems like I'll be interested to see how high owned Zanevska is. Am I overlooking her here?
I mean, I talked about her last slate because her recent matches. I mean, she's been playing some good tennis, but so has Parisas Diaz. So, but I looked at Diaz before, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't she more of a clay player? Isn't she from Spain?
Let me double check that right now. Where's my? I have too many tabs open right now. Let me get Flash Score back up. And while I check that, is there any questions in the chat that you would like Suzy to answer? If you're building a lineup right now, we will get straight to those while I pull this up. Yeah, she's a Spanish player. I'm looking at her results from last year. You know what? So, I mean, even if we kind of pigeonholed her as a clay player, I'm just looking. She's had pretty good results on hard courts,
definitely.
but it was at the challenger level. But I see her here at a challenger in September. She beat Haddad Maya. She beat Shaizai Zhang, Haley Baptiste, right? Xinyu Wang. I mean, these are good wins here on hard courts. So Melbourne, she beat Claire Liu, lost to Dasha. And then in Adelaide, she beat Alize Cornet. So I don't think we could dismiss her as a clay player, even though she's that's definitely her strongest surface.
But then you see Zanevska. She beat Petra last week, which Petra's just playing awful, but Osaka crushed her 6-1, 6-1.
Which one? Petra Martic?
Zanevska beat Petra, and then she had Osaka, who Osaka beat her 6-1, 6-1.
I wonder I wonder how much longer Petra Martic has got, right? I mean, she was looking so good 2 years ago, and I mean, it's rough. And then when you've made that much money, it's not like you're going to jump back down.
I hate her. I hate Benkic. I was like a year and a half ago. I remember I was doing a slate and I was out, and I was, I went to check what I had left, and all I needed was Benkic to win. And Petra comes out and like crushes her, and I'm just like,
yeah, there was a run there. We made a lot of money backing Petra Martic, and then the pandemic came in, and then she just came back down to earth. All right, I'm not going to read off all the names, but we consider, anything below 7K in the value range. You had mentioned Wong, Risk, Anisimova as potential values. Who else should I be looking at, right, if I really want to spend up? I'll tell you one. I know that you might disagree there because I know you threw Kudermetova in a lineup, but I think Rus has got a great chance for an upset. And another upset I would like is Qinwen Zhang. But you also have to remember that I spent so much time just betting tennis that those huge underdogs are appealing to me, right? Because, if you're getting 3-1 or 4-1, like you are on those two women, you just hit one and it just makes your whole night. Like, for example, Rus is plus 219 right now. And who was the other one I mentioned? I haven't found. Qinwen Zhang plus 272. I think those are both pretty good value if you're just looking to take a punt late at night. But you're thinking I'm crazy for avoiding Sakari. And who else are you looking at in the value range?
I was talking to Matt earlier. One person he's really high on is Albot, which cool, I like. That's
what the chat wants to know too.
What?
The chat's asking about Albot too. So go ahead and break him down.
This is the thing. Vukic is another one that's playing at home in Australia. You could think of Kokonis, how do you say his name, 2 days ago?
Kokonakis.
Yeah, just call him Coke.
Yeah.
He was really chalky and he lost. And it comes to court time. Vukic has played the last two tournaments. I mean, he's in Australia. He's at home. He made it far in both tournaments. I mean, I think he made it to the semifinals. I have to pull it up. But he has a lot of court time. And so that starts to worry me with, their legs. And they're not people that usually go deep into tournaments. But I do like him a lot. But Albert can definitely beat him. He has the game. I think they're two pretty even players. But I have Vukic in a lineup. I don't have any Alba, but I know that some really like him.
Interesting. Any chance Kekmanovic gets the upset over Tommy Paul?
This is just me thinking. I feel like he's playing for Djokovic right now.
Oh, really? Okay, I haven't heard this theory yet.
No, I just I start to look what happened 2 days ago. I started telling you about my random thoughts, and they all happened.
Yeah, let's keep it going. Let's get these winners.
I love Tommy Paul, but he has screwed me so many times. He's playing really good tennis right now, but Kes can play. He's a great player. I mean, he's from Serbia, like Djokovic. All the drama that's surrounding him. He came out and he crushed on Monday. He's beaten him twice. He's definitely, I would definitely play him in GPP if I was running a few. Definitely.
All right. I don't think you can play any of these players that are 5K and below. Do you have DraftKings pulled up?
Only Rus. Rus is what, 5.5.
Yeah.
If you play Rus, you better be paying up for Nadal.
If you play Rus, you can afford Nadal and Zverev. So do you think, I kind of like Zverev more than Barty up at the top. I know we're bouncing around, but it's because if you do play Rus,
I mean, Barty crushed
this is why you're doing
her last game. Barty has an easier matchup. I only say that because Millman's at home, and I've seen him. Do you remember 2 years? Was it 2 or 3 years ago? He got like that long game with Federer and stuff.
Yeah, that was probably the highlight of his career, right?
Yeah, and so I just like, if it wasn't in Australia, I'd be higher on Sasha. I know Sasha's gonna win, but let me see the 5K range. I mean, we have Greek. Oh no, never mind, not him. I don't like any of these. I don't like any of them.
Yeah, I guess I'm alone on Quinlan's Wang.
The only one is Roos that I would take a chance on down
Roos,
there.
yeah, I think she's got a good chance too. Those are the two. Krejcikova, Wong's not going to upset her, right?
No.
ZU?
Yeah. No. Never.
Yeah, I can't see Kwon getting upset. I mean, if Bonzi beat Hashanov, I would be really surprised. Do we have any questions from the chat? Otherwise, we'll go back over to the top. Oh, Matty Ice says that Bonzi can win. He says Hashanov falls on his face. That would be a Hashanov basically just melt.
Who's Bonzi playing?
Hashanov. Karen Hashanov.
I know why he's saying that. He just hates Kachanov.
I mean,
Garrett falls on his face. He does. I mean, who was it? Bonzi that played? Hold on. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you could take a chance on Bonzi. I wouldn't.
All right. Okay, I was hoping to get some from the show, so I'll just manufacture some ones that I was thinking. I already hit you with the Paul Vukic Opelka little area earlier. Let's go up a little higher then, because if people are using some of these values, they are going to be able to spend up. Alcaraz or Keys? Who would you rather play?
Keys.
Interesting. All right. And you save 400 if you do that.
I have something I want to say, and I just got reminded. Okay. Berrettini last year withdrew from the Australian Open because of an injury. And I saw that he took a medical timeout at his last game. I didn't watch the match, so I don't know if anybody did, but he's playing Kozlov, who she should beat. But if you want to just
smash.
Take a chance, well, no, because he won't get a lucky loser. Well, never mind. He won't get a lucky loser. I was going to say.
Yeah, at this point, it's just a withdrawal and you advance.
Yeah, he won't get one. But Berrettini could be super low owned because of that injury also. I don't know if he's fine, but he should smash who he's playing. He's going to be low owned.
Interesting. Yeah, and he's at 10-7 there. So you, if it was Zverev or Berrettini, who would you rather have?
Berrettini. I don't like taking Sasha versus Millman.
Wow, that's funny. I think
he's gonna win. I just rather pay for Barty or Berrettini or Osaka over. I mean, I would pay for Sasha over Huey. I'd pay for Monfils before I pay for Sasha, I think. But just because he's a little bit cheaper.
All right. Let's see. Is there any other ones in here? We kind of passed over Korda or Pegula. Who do you think you'd rather have there? Or Pegula? I cannot appropriate.
Korda.
You like Korda more than Pegula here?
Yeah, but I'm playing both of them. I got both of them in my lineup. I will say Pegula has not been strong to start the year, but she just got married and she was honeymooning, so I know she wasn't practicing, but I feel like she's getting her feet under her. She's played a few matches. I feel like she's going to smash. I mean, Paris sucks.
Yeah, I mean, she's not that good. So, okay, well, we weren't getting as many questions as I thought, but we definitely got a lot of viewers. Reminder, this is brought to you by RunPureSports.com. If you're not already a member, head on over, use the promo code GETBETS. And the advantage of the bets plays as well as the DFS plays. Abruzov, we'll go over it again. He wanted to know about the Tommy Paul thoughts one more time for Abruzov, if you don't mind.
Tommy Paul's in a great spot. Who's he got again? He's got Kesmanovic. I think the head-to-heads were a little bit older when he lost. Tommy Paul's in a lot better shape now, playing a lot better tennis. I lean him to win, but Kes can definitely be a GPP play.
All right. Yeah, Kekmanovic, very interesting. You're thinking he might be playing for the pride of Serbia, right? And we hope the World War He does not break out over this. Matt Smith likes Peg over Corda, so it'll be interesting. We will see that one. Yeah, you are welcome, Brian. Doesn't look like we have any more questions, so we will try and come back maybe Thursday, because that's another light NBA day, and maybe there'll be more eyes on the tennis. And of course, if you do want access to the cores we mentioned, become a member of runpuresports.com. Use the promo code GETBETS when you are signing up. Suzy, any more thoughts for everybody before I sign off?
Nope.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We will see you soon.